In a village tucked between rolling, silent hills, there lived a quiet understanding. Be the same. To be different was to be difficult. To be exceptional was to be a threat. The houses were all copies of each other. The gardens were echoes, and the lives lived within them were comfortable, predictable, and frankly, a bit grey. This was the world of Marcus. His garden was a testament to control. Every flower stood like a perfect soldier, absolutely identical to its neighbor. For Marcus, order was a moral virtue, and chaos was a sin. And then there was Ilara. Her garden was a masterpiece of beautiful chaos. Where Marcus saw straight lines, Ilara saw life's natural desire to curve and to reach. She didn't plant for control. She nurtured for potential. She was an experimenter, a listener. The other villagers found her strange. Marcus, in particular, watched her, not with joy, but with a quiet, simmering disapproval. He saw only inefficiency, a lack of discipline that made him deeply uncomfortable. One day, an old woman visiting from a distant valley gave Ilara a gift. It was a single, strange seed, as dark as obsidian, but with a faint, iridescent shimmer. This seed, the woman warned, her voice a low whisper, does not like to be told what to be. Ilara just smiled. Then it has found the right home. That night, under a full moon, Ilara planted the seed in the very heart of her garden. She didn't give it orders. Instead, she whispered to the soil, "Show me what you want to become." The soil did not wait long to answer. It didn't just sprout, it erupted. A single stalk, the color of a deep bruise, thrust itself from the earth, growing with a defiant, unstoppable purpose. Soon, a bud formed, larger than any she had ever seen, heavy and humming with a low, silent sound you could feel more than hear. Then, on the fourth morning, it bloomed, and it was not a flower. It was a piece of the sky, fallen to earth. A single, magnificent poppy, the color of a forgotten ocean, and it glowed. It pulsed with a soft azure light, bathing Ilara's entire garden in an ethereal, otherworldly radiance. Ilara simply stared, breathless, incomplete, silent awe. It was the most beautiful, most honest thing she had ever seen. Of course, a light like that is impossible to ignore. The villagers gathered at her fence, their mouths open, united for a brief moment in pure, childlike wonder. But wonder is a fragile emotion, and in the back of the crowd, Marcus started. He did not see beauty. He saw a mistake. He saw an imbalance. He saw something that, by its very existence, made his own lifetime of work, his own perfect, controlled, lifeless garden seem small and insignificant. The wonder lasted a day. The envy took root immediately. Marcus began his work, not with a shovel, but with whispers. "It's unnatural," he'd murmur at the market. "It's stealing the light from the sky. It will starve our own crops." He weaponized their fear of the unknown. "She thinks she is better than us," he'd say at the village square. "She mocks our traditions. She mocks us." This is a very real, very human phenomenon called tall poppy syndrome, that strange, sad reflex to cut down anyone who dares to grow too high. The villagers, poisoned by Marcus's envy, began to see Ilara's beautiful light not as a gift, but as a personal insult. Her success had become a mirror, and in it they saw their own lack of courage. The whispers soon grew teeth. First, a stone was thrown in the dead of night, shattering one of her favorite pots. The next day, a single word was painted on her fence. Freak. The village was no longer whispering, it was shouting, "Cut it down. It doesn't belong." And through it all, Marcus watched, his hands perfectly clean, his work done for him. This is a true crisis. It's not the stones, but the doubt that they create inside of you. Ilara huddled in her cottage, the pure joy the flower had brought her now replaced by a suffocating, lonely pain. The world's criticism had breached the walls of her heart and become her own inner voice. She looked at the glowing poppy and, for the very first time, saw it as the source of her pain. "They're right," she whispered to the empty room. "It's too bright. It's causing all this trouble. It's my fault." And in that moment of despair, a terrible, simple solution presented itself. If I just ... cut it down, they will stop hating me. I can finally be at peace. Her gaze drifted to the large, sharp garden shears hanging on her wall. This is the greatest, most tragic victory of envy, when the world finally convinces you to attack yourself. She took the shears from the wall and walked out into the cold, drizzling rain. She stood before the magnificent blue poppy, its soft light pulsing on her tear-streaked face. She raised the shears, her hands shaking uncontrollably, and placed the cold, sharp blades around its thick, strong stem. She closed her eyes, ready to surrender, ready to make it all stop. But she stopped. Her eyes opened, and she saw her own reflection in a single drop of rain, clinging to a glowing petal. She saw her own face, terrified, about to destroy the most beautiful thing she had ever known, all to win the approval of people who chose to live in gray. In that tiny reflection, a profound stoic truth struck her like lightning. I cannot control Marcus's envy, she thought. I cannot control their fear, that is, their garden, not mine. But I can control this. I can control my own hands. And the nature of this flower, is to shine. Their hatred, is their problem. My job is to grow. Slowly, deliberately, she lowered the shears. A small, defiant smile touched her lips. The next morning, the villagers gathered, expecting to see a victory. They expected a severed stem and a return to the comfortable gray they knew. Instead, they saw a fortress. Ilara was not destroying her flower. She was protecting it. She was building a tall, strong, beautiful fence around her garden, not a wall of fear, but a boundary of self. She picked up the shears again, but this time it was only to prune away the dead wood, to clear the weeds, to give the magnificent blue poppy even more room to thrive. The world will always have its critics. There will always be a Marcus, consumed by an envy he mistakes for justice, begging you to be smaller so he can feel bigger. This is the stoic cure for the tall poppy syndrome. You cannot control their envy. You can only control your response. Do not dim your light to make others comfortable. Their envy is their prison. Your light is your duty. So build your boundaries. Protect your light. And let your very existence be the answer. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more thoughts on living a stronger, more resilient life.